Assalamu alaikum dear students. I welcome you to the lesson 12. We are going through the chapter number 4, Sensation, Attention and Perception. And the topic which we are going to cover today is attention. We will be discussing the intro and definition of attention and the factors of attention, factors that influence attention. Okay, so let's begin. Before going towards the topic, first we will see what is attention. Okay, the word attention is actually derived from a Latin word attention that means observation or background. What is attention? Attention is actually the initial effort to be aware of an event around us. When we attend to certain things, or when our sensory organs receive the external stimulus, and when we consciously focus on certain stimulus around us or certain event around us, this process is attention. The initial observation that gave rise to sensation is called attention. So, attention leads to sensation. When we attend to certain thing, when we observe certain thing, at the same time the sensation process and the perceptual process begins. Okay? It is an important source of knowledge to observe the things in order to get information about them and to gather information about a thing in the light of its background. And this initial observation that involves the sensation process is termed as attention. In our conscious field, there are so many different stimulus around us, but we are sometimes consciously, actively attending to those, and sometimes we are not consciously attending, but we are passively attending to those stimulus. As our sense organs are working, as our sense organs are effective, so at every moment we are being bombarded, or our sense organs are being bombarded by so many sensations. And sometimes we consciously attend to those sensations, and sometimes we unconsciously attend to those sensations. Okay? There are so many stimulus around us, and some of these stimulus come to the center of attention. However, some other stimulus gets to the center of consciousness after some time. Either we voluntarily bring a stimulus to the center of consciousness, or some stimulus is so powerful that it makes its way to the center of consciousness. Whatever is the case, this process of bringing or coming of the stimulus to the center of consciousness is known as attention. Okay? The focus of attention is selective for different individuals. Everybody attends according to his own interests, own aptitudes, and the specific motivation at a particular time. Every individual has his own field of consciousness. He focuses or attend to various things. This act of his is known as selective attention. It means that the individual does not respond to every stimulus around him, but focuses on some specific stimulus of his own interest. Another point is attention forms the basis of perception. Initially, we begin with the sensation process. We sense certain things, we attend to certain things, and then this message is carried to the central nervous system where our messages are interpreted and given meaning. This process of organization and interpretation of the stimulus is known as perception. So, attention forms the basis of perception. We attend to certain things and then we begin to perceive those things. Attention has both positive and negative aspects. To give attention to something is to divert attention from something else. In other words, when we are paying attention to the center of consciousness, this is the positive aspect of attention. And when we are drawing our attention away from the main focal or marginal conscious process, your consciousness, this is negative aspect of attention. Okay? When we are consciously attending towards the center of consciousness, towards the thing of focus, then this is positive aspect. And then what is the negative aspect of attention? That when we draw our attention away from the this major marginal consciousness. So attention is a process which involves collection of information as well as contribution on the part of brain and body as well. We are not only attending to certain things with our sense organs only, but at the same time our sense organs, our brain, body, everything is involved. We can also say that attention is the flow of consciousness. The individual, uh, the individual's field of consciousness gets fully involved in it and tries to gather information. So, what does a flow of consciousness means? That every time we are passively or actively thinking about something, or we are attending to different stimuluses at the same time. So, attention is referred to as the flow of consciousness. Consciousness is flowing. Consciousness is the immediate awareness. So, attention is a continuous flow of thoughts. We are passively or actively, continuously attending to different things. Sometimes we are attending due to certain motivation, due to certain interest, and sometimes we are attending passively. Okay, types of attention. There are four types of attention. Number one, voluntary or passive attention. Sorry, involuntary or passive attention. Involuntary attention, the stimulus attract the individual's attention because of their qualities. It is not involving the individual's willingness or his intention. We are passively, without any interest, without any intention, or without any willingness, we are attending to certain things. This is involuntary or passive attention. So, the factors which influence passive attention are objective. The stimulus are so powerful that they dominate the individual and they may capture his attention by force. Okay, sometimes we are not looking for certain thing, but the stimulus is so of higher intensity, of brightness, or there's some other quality of the stimulus that we unconsciously passively attend to those things without any willingness. For example, if a loud sound is suddenly heard, or if the light goes off, or a poisonous insect bites, we shall force pay attention to it. Okay. So next is voluntary or active attention. So what is voluntary or active attention? We are consciously aware of the things around us. We consciously give attention to something. And this type of attention has subjective causes. Subjective causes means this type of attention involves person's own subjective factors. For example, When we focus attention on writing in the examination hall, we are actively attending to our paper, or when we keep an eye on a player, on a rival player in the game, this is voluntary attention. We are attending that what the other team is doing. So the stimulus in voluntary attention is not so powerful as to compel our attention. In contrast to it, our need, our wish is so vital that we with conscious effort direct attention towards those stimulus. The third type is secondary, passive, or habitual attention. Initially, every task involves voluntary attention. However, with practice and repetition, it becomes a habit. If the individual has to be prepared for response to stimulus related to a specific thing or event, it is called habitual attention. Okay? For example, the individual initially has to devote a voluntary attention towards a certain thing which he want to master. For example, any sport he want to gain mastery in. So initially he has to devote his voluntary attention towards it. Then later, when he will develop proficiency, gradually he begins to acquire interest in it. The nature of attention also undergoes a change. It changes from voluntary to habitual attention. Okay. The fourth type of attention is continuous attention. Continuous attention involves conscious observation of an event or stimulus over a long period of time. Such attention entails strong willpower. Since we cannot focus attention on a thing for a long period of time, continuous attention causes boredom and fatigue as well. Okay, so these were the four types of attention. Let's move towards the topic. Factors influencing attention. Factors which influence our attention. There are certain subjective as well as objective factors which influence our attention. Let's discuss first. Uh, first we will discuss subjective factors. Okay, what are subjective factors? Subjective factors actually relate to the individual's self. Okay, person's own characteristics, person's own interests, person's own personality. These are the subjective factors which influence the attention process. These factors are involved in voluntary attention. These are related to the individual qualities. For example, the individual makes conscious effort to direct attention to a specific stimulus because of freshness, because of his interest, because of need, because of his curiosity, expectation, and so on. So let's discuss these subjective factors one by one. Number one, freshness. Okay, when an individual is fresh, he is better able to focus attention on a thing. When an individual is not feeling fresh or individual is uh, feeling bored, he will be unable to attend or focus on certain things. If he feels tired or sleepy, it is difficult for him to be attentive. When a person is fresh, he can even notice a minute detail of a stimulus. Okay. For example, if we are fresh in the classroom, we will be more attentive. If we are sleepy, if we are tired, we will be unable to attend. Okay? The next subjective factor is interest. The mental state that inclines the individual towards a thing or event is known as interest. Interest can be natural or acquired. Natural interests need not to be learned and are instinctive in nature. Such interests need not to be learned. Okay? For example, a mother's concern for her child, or a bird's building of nest in a specific season, or the thirsty man looking for water, and the hungry man craving for food. These all are the examples of natural interest. Acquired interests. Initially, acquired interests depend upon learning and later they equal to the natural interest. For example, the adopting of any subject or any medium, for example, adopting of fine arts, painting, sports as a profession is an example of acquired interest. We gradually develop a different interest in different things. Acquired interest may be temporary or permanent. The temporary acquired interest lasts until the completion of a specific task. Once the task is complete, interest is lost. Okay? If momentary interest is adopted permanently, it becomes a habit and is then called a permanent interest. Gardening, poetry, story writing, music, these are all examples of permanent acquired interests. Similarly, sportsmen after retirement keep an interest in watching matches or start writing a book on their experience or become a commentator or coach. Or musicians and singers begin to coach others or become patron of an academy when they cannot perform themselves. So these are the acquired interests. So interest is also a factor which influence our attention. If we have an interest in something, either it is natural or acquired, we will be attending to those things. A person having an interest in sports will attend to those things, attend to the things related to sports, even if he is retired from his profession, he will be attending to the things of his interest. Okay, so the next subjective factor is motivation. Motivation is a force that urges a person to satisfy a particular need. It is because of motivation that the individual selects only those things out of environment that can fulfill his need. When we are motivated towards certain things, we will attend to only those things. For example, a hungry person will be looking for food, a thirsty person will be looking for water. Okay, when we are motivated to do something, we are going to attend towards those things. So, motivation is another subjective factor that affects our attention, that influences our attention. Another subjective factor is curiosity. How curiosity influences attention? Actually, curiosity is the natural urge to obtain information about various things in the environment. It is curiosity that makes children and adults pay attention to different things. The intensity of curiosity for different things varies from person to person. Some people are curious about certain things, and some people are not curious about those things. The level of curiosity is different among different individuals. Another factor is the expectancy or mental readiness. The state in which the individual is prepared for a thing or event is called expectancy. Okay? We become attentive to the things because of mental readiness. When we are mentally ready, we are better able to attend to certain things. For example, in a classroom, when you are mentally ready to listen to your teacher, or when you are mentally aware, you are mentally relaxed, you will be able to attend toward the lecture more in a more better way, in a much better way. Okay. Mental and physical health. Yes, mental and physical health is very important. If we are mentally and physically healthy, if we are mentally and physically sane, then we are able to attend towards the stimulus around us. It is very difficult to be attentive in illness or in any other, if we are having any other problem, mental or physical problem. The next factor, the next subjective factor which influence attention is emotion. Since the individual become agitated in different emotional states, their consciousness is totally blurred. So it is difficult to focus attention on things in a state of emotions. When we are emotionally up, when we are in an emotional state, we are not able to attend properly. We are unable to focus attention on certain things. Experiments have also proved that the process of learning and being focused slows down when one is angry or scared or happy. Okay, you can also feel this thing. You can also experiment this thing that when you are having a certain emotional outburst, or when you are going through certain emotional states, you are unable to attend towards certain things. Another factor is attitude. Okay, the individual's particular way of thinking and behaving is known as attitude. If the individual has positive attitude towards a thing, he will pay attention to that thing. And if he has negative attitude towards certain thing, then he will try to avoid or ignore such things. Okay? So attitude is another subjective factor which influences our attention. If we have a positive attitude towards certain thing, we will be attending to those things. So these were the subjective factors. Now we are going to discuss the objective factors of attention. Objective factors are located in the external environment. These are not related to person's own will and wish or his own personality. Okay? These factors are located in the external environment. They are related to stimulus around us. Such factors influence the individual because of their attraction and power, and they initial finally they command our attention. Since the individual's willingness or wish is not included in this type of attention, they are called the objective factors of attention. Okay, so let's discuss these objective factors one by one. Intensity. The more powerful a stimulus is, the more forcefully and speedily it will affect the organism and capture his attention. We know that the more powerful a stimulus is, the more forcefully it will attract the attention of the individual. For example, a loud sound, or a dazzling light, a bright light, or a strong wind, or a severe pain, or a sharp smell of certain things, these things will attract our attention. So, intensity is an objective factor which affects our attention. The next objective factor is extensity. The more extensively the stimulus are spread in the external environment, the sooner they will attract our attention. For example, a full page advertisement in newspapers will gather our attention more. Okay? The more extensively a stimulus is spread in the environment, the more readily we will be attending to those things. For example, the big billboards along the roadsides, they catch our attention because of extensity. Extensity. Another thing is that the greater the magnitude of stimulus, the sooner it will capture our attention. Okay. The next objective factor is color. The colorful things grab our attention sooner than the plain things. Colorful pictures in the newspapers at once gather our attention. We will immediately look for those things, attend to those things, attend to that news. Another example can be a richly colored dress becomes the focus of attention in a gathering. A person having dressed in a bright dress, so he will be attending, he will be gathering more attention. Colorful things grab attention. Another factor is movement. A moving thing catches attention sooner than a still thing. For example, a vehicle that is on the move draws attention more quickly than the vehicle which is parked on the road. We are attracted to the television sooner when it is on than off. Okay, so if there is movement in our surroundings, we will immediately attend to those things. We immediately attend to the moving things as compared to the stationary things. Duration. The organism continues to pay attention to a stimulus in proportion to how longer it affects it. Okay, as long as the band keeps playing, it is being done, and the phone call continues, they remain center of attention. We continue to pay attention to the stimulus in proportion of how long they affect our senses. The next factor is contrast. If the things in an environment are dissimilar to each other, this contrast will catch our attention. Okay, we will be attending to the things which are in combination or which are in contrast as compared to the ordinary things. If a small advertisement is placed in the center of a wide space, it will come to our attention at once. If a page contains capital letters and a few small letters are inserted in between them, they will catch our attention. Okay? So, contrast catches our attention. Another factor is change. If a sudden change occurs in an environment, or if a sudden change occurs in the quality of a stimulus, we at once give attention to it. If a thing on the move comes to a halt suddenly and a thing at rest begins to move, or an alarm goes off, attention is immediately drawn towards it. Sometimes we leave a TV or radio or a tape recorder on and fall asleep. If someone turns it off, we are awakened by this change in the environment. Okay, so whenever there is a change in the environment, we will immediately put our attention towards that thing. Immediately, if a TV is switched off, our attention will focus towards that thing. Immediately, a stimulus comes in our environment, we will be focusing our attention towards that thing. So, a sudden change brings our attention towards that thing. Another factor is repetition. If a stimulus is encountered frequently, it holds our attention. If we face a stimulus again and again, if there is repetition, it will gather our attention. And we see that if it is repeated too often, it becomes a habit. Initially, when stimulus is presented again and again, we will attend to it, we will focus towards it. And when it is repeated too often, it becomes a habit. For example, if the doorbell rings once, we sometimes do not attend to it. But if the bell rings repeatedly, we at once give attention to it. Okay. So another factor is rareness. Such events as seldom happen grab our attention immediately. For example, any a storm, any earthquake, or a heavy rain, etc. Since students often see teachers in college, they pay no attention to them. However, if the principal comes out of the office, they are at once surprised into attention. So, we divert our attention towards the events which are rare. So, rare events or rare stimulus grab our attention. Okay. Another factor is location. The location of stimulus plays a very important role in attention. If placed in front, then it will catch more attention. Where the stimulus is placed, it will gather the attention. If the stimulus is is placed far away from us, or it is not influencing us in any way, any of the subjective or objective factor, then we will not attend to that stimulus. So location matters. For example, the front page or the back page advertisement in a newspaper immediately catches our attention. Or when a news is having a striking caption or a picture along with it, or it is colorful, or it is located at the front page, we will be attending towards it. So location of a stimulus is very important in attention process. Another factor is uniqueness. We are easily attracted to unique and novel things. For example, the strange sounds, uh, the unique and odd fashions, these catch our attention more often. If there are unique things in the environment, they will gather our attention. Another factor is the stimulus organization. The stimulus with a specific and definite organization grab attention soon. So, the stimulus which are organized, which are properly defined, they gather our attention. For example, a working or a moving machine gathers our attention as compared to the spare parts. Okay. Definite form. Another objective factor is definite form. We readily pay attention to things with a definite and agreeable form. Okay? We will attend to the things which have a certain form, certain shape, and certain meaning. The things which do not have any meaning, do not have any form, we are we will not be attending to those things. We will be least motivated towards those things. Another factor is the nature of stimulus. Since stimulus affect our sensory organs, the individual devotes attention to them according to their natural qualities. Visual and auditory stimulus influence attention more often as compared to other sensations. For example, sounds, colors, and pictures will gather more information. Okay? Visual and auditory sensations or visual or auditory stimulus catch more attention as compared to other things. So, these were the subjective and objective factors of attention. Hope these are clear. So, in the next topic, we will be discussing distraction of attention and fluctuation of attention. So, till then, take care. Allah Hafiz.